live now.
All right, everybody, welcome to Hump Day Hangouts, episode 281. Today is April Fool's, but it's actually episode 281. There's no joke. I guess I'll go with, what do Wednesdays and Top Gun have in common? You're both in the danger zone with Hump Day Hangouts. I don't know. That's the best I could do on the spot. Yep. All right. Chris is expressing his love of my horrible jokes. So anyways, let's say hi to everybody real quick, and then we got some short announcements, and we're going to kick it off and get into your questions. So I'll start with Chris since he loved my jokes so much. How you doing, man?
Doing good here. How are you doing?
Not too bad. Yeah, things are getting a little interesting around here. They're kind of tightening up the going outside restrictions right as the sun starts shining. So, but you know, do what you got to do and keep moving forward. Kind of same in life and business. So, anyways, I'm doing all right.
Well, as long as you're allowed to go out without masks, you're fine.
Yeah, and luckily people have been not too crazy around here. So, anyways, you know, just the new normal going day to day. So, Marco, how about yourself?
I'm good, man. Actually, the rainy season has started, although it doesn't look like it, does it? But it's kind of cloudy today. We had a few raindrops, not much, but just enough to know that in the next couple of weeks, at this time especially, not going to be able to hear me talk probably from the noise of the rain falling on the roof. So it'll be fun.
And I mean, we always get in these weird little weather discussions at the beginning of Hump Day Hangouts, but is that kind of, I'm used to places I've been that are kind of tropical like that. Is it like an afternoon type of thing where it, you know, showers pretty intensely, but then it kind of goes away?
7.5 months of that. But we will have periods, especially during hurricane season, where it might rain 3, 4, 5 days straight. When my son was born in October of 2011, we had 11 days straight where it did not stop raining, man. It was just horrible. But other than that, no, I mean, it's like this. It'll rain and then it'll go away and it'll be nice in the evening. So yeah, it's a nice change from just so much sun, because too much sun isn't good for you, man.
Well, that's good. You gotta have both so you can appreciate the sunshine.
Right.
That's good. Well, hey, Hernan, how are you doing? You're moving into, let's see, winter time, right? Is it cooling down?
Winter, yeah. So we're on autumn right now. So we're moving into the colder season. But it's good, man. It's good. Like, life's good. Like, honestly, I don't feel the quarantine. I'm quarantined 24/7 anyway. So I've been preparing for this all my life. I've been anticipating this moment. So... No, but life's good, man. We're safe. We got you know, we got what we need to have, and you know, the stores are, you know, full with stuff. Like, you know, we just went out to do some shopping and we're good. So, you know, everything's good.
Good deal. And Bradley, how about yourself? How you doing, man?
Glad to be back. You know, last week I was planning on being here, but I took a week away to my favorite campground and trailhead where I ride ATVs and such on purpose to get away from this, you know, pandemic mess and everything. I thought it was just a good excuse to get away too. So I took it, and I planned it from Monday through Sunday. And on Friday, before I left to go, the governor had issued an order to shut down, you know, visitor center and such. And so that's where I planned on working last week. and it shut down. I was shut down for any, like, other than, you know, employees, it was shut down. So I was unable to work. I had very piss poor internet service that I was tethering through my phone, which was kind of spotty anyways. And so I was unable to be here. And I apologize for that, but it looks like you guys all handled it for me. I never had any doubt, but I appreciate you all taking care of that. And it was actually nice to unplug for the most part for the entire week, other than, you know, a few emails on my phone. I literally unplugged for the entire week, which is very rare. Even on vacation, I usually bring my laptop and work a little bit, you know. And this was almost an entire work-free week, and it was much needed. I came back this week and have been working, you know, with renewed enthusiasm, if that makes sense. And I think that's important for everybody to unplug. So, you know, at times, so use this time, I think, guys, right now in two ways. One, work on stuff that you've been putting off, and two, take some time for relaxation, because I think that gets our creativity kind of flowing again, if that makes sense. If you're overwhelmed with work, like all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy, that kind of thing, I think that kind of stifles our creativity. And when I say creativity, you don't have to be in the creative like a graphic designer and stuff to be creative. I'm talking about creative problem solving and things like that. I think we're better if we have some sort of a balance, if that makes sense. And I think as entrepreneurs, a lot of times we don't adhere to that advice. We just work all the damn time. But I think when you can get away and you see the benefits that it can produce, it kind of makes you realize that it's something that you should probably work into your routine. You know what I mean?
Definitely. Yeah. And I 100% agree with that. Whatever it is, just kind of following either what's fun for you, or if you got a side passion, and talking to other people just about what they do. Cause man, those ideas, you just start cross, kind of interspersing, and you can get those connections and you'll come up with ideas that you never would have otherwise.
Absolutely.
Cool. Before we get into it, just wanted to say real quick, we've been updating some training. Bradley just closed week 11 of 2X Your Agency training. And if you're an agency owner or you're a consultant, if you want to get more clients, if you want to grow your revenue, if you want to scale your team, if any of those things sound kind of remotely good to you and the things you want to do, then you should head over to 2xyouragency.com. Got the training almost completely wrapped up, but if you hop in, there's no drip, there's no waiting. You get in, you get all the training right away. We know some people can really power through it and set aside the time. Other people, you might want to go on a weekly schedule, but whatever works for you, we got it there for you.
If I can interject for a minute, I just added the videos from today for week 11. We got 1 week left, guys. This will be a special week next week too. I'm looking forward to it. But anyways, so when I added it to the list of all the other training videos for the course so far, we're at 77 videos. So I would recommend that you power through it, but kind of on a weekly schedule, so that because otherwise you're going to be sitting around. Well, you've probably got the time now. So,
Yeah.
But there's a lot of damn training in there, guys. So don't let the price fool you.
Yeah, I was going to say too, we've done an improvement that we've listened to people, and we have the video training, but we also have the executive summaries that go with it. Because we know with some people, you may already feel up to speed on some area, or you just need a quick reference after you've gone through it. Whatever it is that you need that for, we've built these in for each lesson so that you've got that. So very helpful material there. And if you're into more of the SEO side as for getting results instead of kind of building your agency, then you're going to want to grab the battle plan, whether it's working with new websites, agent domains, YouTube channels, whatever it is, keyword research, all that sort of good stuff. Head over to battleplan.semanticmastery.com and grab that.
Can we tease the new one?
Oh,
no, okay.
Never mind. Yeah.
Carry on.
Yeah. We're going to have some good updates coming, you guys. We'll be talking more about that in the future. In the meantime, head over to POFU Live. Head over to POFU Live. Actually, we will have some updates about POFU Live, but we're waiting on figuring out some alternatives to that, just in case things end up going on for a long time, and we'll tell you more about that in the future. But what I meant to say was head over to MGYB.co, done for you services, syndication networks, ROAS drive stacks, the SEO shield, link building, embeds, all sorts of good stuff. And if you haven't signed up at MGYB.co yet, head over there. You can opt in, or you can create your account there, and subscribers definitely get access to some really good stuff. Not only do we have some free training available to you, but we also send out specials and some subscriber only sales that go on from time to time over there.
And for people who need proof,
yeah,
for people who need to see it, who just have to have it, I just went live for the second time. Monday was the first time, showing the Land Solutions case study, which I was only sharing in the charity webinar series. But now, I'm getting such great results that I want to show people what's going on. I want to update them. I want them to see as this goes on, as this moves on, how well this shit works. And as a matter of fact, go watch the video in Facebook. It's in all of our groups. If you're a paid member, it's there. If you're a member of the free group, it's in there. And if you're not a member, then go in there, join. It's free to join, and you can see the video. And I've given people a 20% off coupon for the SEO Shield, which is a must, right? The SEO Power Shield is a must right now if you want to create your entity like right off the bat. You want to start off right. You want the foundation to be like just spot on, solid, as good as you can get it. It's an SEO Power Shield, and you go from there because it incorporates everything that we teach in the sorry, I lost my train of thought. In
all of the RYS and
but
and everything.
Yeah, I'm thinking of our battle plan. Sorry. It incorporates everything in our battle plan up to when you're supposed to start the press releases and the link building, right? So the SEO Power Shield is the foundation to get then all that heavy push that you smack it in the ass and then it goes. It's incredible what happens.
Outstanding. Well, I think that's it on our end. Guys, anything else before we hop into questions?
I don't think so. So we're good?
Yeah, let's do this.
Yep.
Let's do it. I feel like I missed out because I wasn't here last week. I was looking at some of the questions from last week and I feel like obligated that I have to answer them and I don't. You know what I mean? So anyways, all right, cool. So it looks like we're starting with Mohammed today. You guys are seeing my screen, correct?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. Yep.
All right. What's up, Mohammed? He says, hey guys, I'm trying to rank an affiliate site and I'm about to order a press release for it. The problem is I don't know how to approach a PR for something I don't own. Would it be weird if I ran a PR on behalf of this item only for it to lead to my site? No, because in my opinion, no, not at all. Because I mean, that's natural for people to talk about products or services that they like or, know, like, trust, whatever that they use to it's an endorsement basically. So there's no problem with that at all, Mohammed. And remember, you're not writing the press release. It's up to the press release writers to determine a news angle, not you. So all you got to do, like literally, they're good at that. Like that's why they're press release writers, right? So all I would do is just submit your, maybe a guideline, like say, hey, this is the product I want to promote. Here's the page. Put the link in the description, right? When you order the press release, put the link into the page and then tell them to go glean some information from that product page. That they can use to write about. And that's all you have to do. That's what I love about the press release writers is you don't have to give them very much for them to be able to write some sort of news angle to make it PR worthy. And that's their job. So I wouldn't bang your head against the wall to try to come up with ideas for that. Let them do it. That's their job. Just give them the product, the page, and ask them to write something that promotes that. And they'll handle that for you. Anybody else? Nope. Okay. Looks like BB's got a bunch of questions. Okay, cool. Well, we didn't have a lot, so we can run through them. Usually if we had more, we would say, don't do that. But you've been coming often, so that's perfectly fine. What happens when properties get shut down, mostly relevant to branded networks? Should someone invest in building again? Should we change links and add to other social networks? Yeah, I mean, if it's done correctly, and I don't know, maybe you were the one that was talking about doing a shit ton of blog posts and they were, or doing them too soon and the WordPress was getting shut down. I vaguely remember a conversation like that a few weeks ago. If you're having it happen often, there's something wrong. It could be with the content you're publishing, could be too many outbound links, could be the volume or frequency of publishing. But if you're having a bunch of sites terminated, there's an issue because and I was just telling Rob about it, I don't know, about 2 weeks ago. I was looking at some old and like 6-8 folders deep. So I didn't even know that they were there. And I found some old syndication networks that were built in 2012, a rack of them, like seriously, like, I don't know, 20 some networks, syndication networks. And I started just out of curiosity looking at the properties, and many of them are still active and live today, which is unbelievable to me, that they've been around for 8 freaking years. It's just insane. So the reason I'm telling you that is because they shouldn't be terminated unless there's a problem. So I would try to identify what the problem is first, because otherwise it's going to be an ongoing problem. However, that said, once you've identified that problem and resolved it, then as far as what do you do with terminated properties? Yeah, I would just build new ones, or I would just buy a new network is what I would do, so you don't waste your time building them, or hire a VA that you can train in the rebuilding in individual Web 2.0s that get terminated. That might be something that you want to have somebody in house for, if that's going to be an ongoing problem with you. But I would recommend first identifying what's causing that issue and resolving that before rebuilding. Does that make sense? Does anybody else got anything?
No, if you've done the work right, which includes doing the same as or doing the structured data, then it's totally worth going in and replacing that, right? Replacing that WordPress is touchy, Blogger sometimes, or anything else, because then you claimed it as part of your entity, and I think that it should be replaced. But that's something very specific that you really need to take a look at to keep your entity strong and really throughout. So I mean, that would be one caveat that I would put into this.
Should we change links and add to other social networks? Well, I don't know what you mean entirely by that question. One of the things that we teach in Syndication Academy is to constantly be looking for additional properties that you can claim a presence on, so that you have a branded profile. Doesn't necessarily mean that you can syndicate to them. As a matter of fact, most of the additional properties that you would add aren't actually part of a syndication network. They're part of your entity, right? So your branded footprint. But we recommend doing that. There's a lot of really good ones out there that you can add as additional, have additional profile on. And that's something that you should absolutely continually be doing for your networks too. Okay. And we talked about maybe adding that as an additional service in MGYB. So maybe in the future that'll be available. All right, the next question is forum comments okay for link building for non-money site properties like RYS syndication properties? As far as I know, yeah, that'd be like GSA does that. I would never use that directly to a money property, but yeah, that kind of stuff can be done. Typically, I think Dedia recommends, and maybe Marco can comment on this because I don't stay up to date with the link building stuff because we have Dedia, so I don't need to. He does it all. But I think typically those type of links will usually be like tier 2 or excuse me, tier 3. So not something that he would recommend building to your tier 1 assets. They can be. I don't think it's going to hurt, but they're just not as effective as they would be at like tier 3, right? Which would be building links to the links that are built to your tier 1. Does that make sense? So it's usually contextual Web 2.0 links as tier 1 to your branded tier 1. So that's, I don't want to get confusing, but that's actually tier 2. But those are tier 1 links to your tier 1 branded entity assets. And then you could follow that up with either a second round of Web 2.0s, which is what he recommends, and then a third tier of GSA style links, which would include forum profile links and such. But I know that you can go Web 2.0 contextual links and then like essentially GSA style links behind that. But Dedia recommends 2 tiers of contextual links. And then you could always back that up with GSA style links, which would include forum comments. So, I would just follow his advice. Marco, you want to comment on that at all?
Yeah, absolutely. Because, I mean, the question is it okay? Yeah, it's okay. Is it necessary? No, not generally. Especially not now. And I mean, this was great. We were just talking about it on Monday. We're bringing on the expansion tool right here in the next 2 weeks. It's going to be available. We're going to let people expand their stacks. And I'll tell you right now that from our testing, you get so much more power when you expand the stack, add that keyword stack instead of just the brand, but focusing on that market level keyword, and then link building to that. But then all that GSA spam that you would have had to do it at tier 3 is totally unnecessary, because you get such a great push from the tiered link building, right? Tier 1 and tier 2 of link building links, that it just makes everything unnecessary. Now, as you expand your drive stack, more folders, more keywords, more maybe subcats, maybe you find another market level category, just however it is that you decide to do it, you're going to be powering up not only that drive stack, but the previous drive stacks just from the association. So guys, yes. Can you? Yes. Should you? I don't see why you would, unless you absolutely have to, unless you're not getting the push that you're supposed to be getting, or there's just so much competition in there that you're having a hard time hitting that top 5, where you need that extra, again, that extra kick in the can to get it to go where you want it to be. Not generally necessary. I didn't see it necessary, nor did Dedia when he took on, as I've mentioned time and again, when he took on Amazon and won.
Yep. All right, thanks, Marco. The next question is it okay to include a link to one of the branded properties in the press release? And I opened up this Excel file just for visual representation, because I just want to point out, yes, it's absolutely fine. And what all of my bloggers do, my content marketers who handle all of the content marketing for all my clients and such, and they order the press releases and all that, is we always, you can have up to 3 links in a press release. I use either 2 or 3 consistently in the press releases. And I just pulled up the spreadsheet because if I would have had a chance earlier, I would have opened up an actual client workbook and just taken a screenshot and blurred some out so you could see what I'm talking about, like how my format is. but each one of my clients has a separate Google workbook or Google sheet. And there's an NAP tab or sheet in the workbook that has the name, address, and phone number and contact information and, email address and all that stuff. And that's like the NAP info. And then underneath that, I've got a section that is target URLs, right? So it'll say target URLs here, and it's got all the branded entity URLs in there. And what my VAs or my bloggers are instructed to do is just every single time they create or order a press release is usually where a press release is used to promote a blog post. That's what we do. It's the PR stacking method. If you have, it looks like you did watch that because I saw it in your question down here. Press release stacking or PR silo stacking is what we typically do is we publish a blog post in whatever silo it is that we're trying to push. And then we publish a GMB post. You don't have to have a GMB entity if it's not for local, but if you do, we publish a GMB post that is linking to the the blog post. Then we publish a press release that is linking to either the GMB post or the blog post. And the press release is to promote the blog post essentially. And then we link to either any one of the other tier 1 entity assets. Could be the money site. It could but since if we're linking directly to the blog post as opposed to the GMB post that's linking to the blog post, then we usually won't link also to the website because we'll choose another asset to link to. GMB map, not the share URL, but the actual CID URL for the GMB map, GMB business site, website, the GMB website, the G site, the Google site, ID page, anything, right? Any sort. So again, my VAs just have a list of target URLs on the sheet, and they're told to, every time they publish a blog post, either link to the blog post or the GMB, the corresponding GMB post, and then just randomly select or cycle through the target URL list that's there so that we're always building a link back to one of our branded entity assets at all times. And we constantly cycling through so that we're kind of diversifying the links across all of our entity assets. And it works incredibly well, guys. So that's what I recommend doing. Is it okay? Yes, absolutely. Any other comments on that, guys?
No.
Okay. How many links should a press release include? I just answered that. 2 or 3. Just remember, 1 to 3 in the Press Advantage service, which you can purchase from MGYB, we recommend 1 to 3. However, as you know, Marco can talk about this a little bit more. Remember, you're diluting any link equity. If you've got one link, all of the link equity is going to that one link. If you've got 3, you're dividing it into a third each, if that makes sense. So just keep that in mind. If you're trying to push more power to something specifically, you may want to only include 1 link. But as I just mentioned, we typically include in almost every single press release 2 or 3 links, always 1 promoting the blog post, either direct or through a GMB post, and then 1 to another branded entity asset. And then if we're PR stacking, we'll link back to a previous PR, the previous PR in that same silo, if that makes sense. So that would be 3 links. Okay. Comments on that one?
No. That's fine. The math is available online. So if you start breaking it up, then you're just dividing the power that you can push. And the more links that you add, the more power that you're dividing. And so you're not going to get as big a push as you otherwise would unless then you maximize the link building. You would have to do a greater amount of link building. But then again, this comes from the fact that it's exponential, right? If you want to get the power to where you want it to go and you're splitting that up 4 ways, it will eventually get there, but it'll be whittled down because of how it's being divided. And so you just do greater link building, and that's available. Data is available in MGYB.co also.
What's the text to links ratio on press releases and in money site posts? I don't know. Honestly, I think in press releases, I think the rule of thumb is like one link for every 200 words is what is no more than 1 link every 200 words, but I can't swear to that. Like I said, the press releases that we use are usually around 750 words, 600 to 750 in that range. And we recommend, or it's recommended not to include more than 3 links. So that works out to about 1 every 200 to 250 words. Okay.
Yeah,
go ahead.
No, to me, the content ratio, that doesn't matter.
Right.
One or 2 links, period. 1 or 2. That's
right.
it. Forget about ratios. Forget about all that other shit. If you want to get the maximum power to wherever it is that you're trying to deliver it, 1. If you have to, 2. If you start going down 3, 4, then you're gonna have to increase the link building. The link building has to be greater. And I'm not gonna go into factors. So and how much link building you should do, because that's what you avoid by not splitting it up that much.
Yeah. All right. So the next one is, I got the concept of the shield. I understand now that it is for me not having to deal with the Google updates, and we should care about Google. But what about the competition? What if someone else is using it? What if? BB, I'm going to give you a hard time here, buddy. I'm not picking on you. Well, I am picking on you specifically, actually. But this is for everyone else's benefit too. You can what if yourself into inaction. And that's exactly what it sounds like you're doing. Maybe I'm wrong, and forgive me if I am. But guys, you can what if yourself to death into not taking any action, period. What if is nothing other than negative imagination. So instead, like seriously, that's all. When you're what ifing situations, you're worrying about potential situations that are imaginary, right? You're imagining potential situations that haven't occurred. And you're just trying to circumvent, you're trying to find solutions for problems that don't exist. So don't do that. Instead, use your imagination on trying to imagine how it will work and how, if that makes sense. Flip it. It's imagination regardless. Worry and what ifing is negative imagination, and you could have positive imagination where you try to think about the, how to make it successful. And in my opinion, that's the way to go about it, because if you try to what if every scenario, you'll never take any action, period. And you're much better off. We just said this saying yesterday. It's better to take imperfect action than perfect inaction. And that's exactly what it sounds like from that type of a question. I hate what if questions because, and again, I don't mean to pick on you, but I'm just saying I hate what if questions because you can what if any sort of scenario that you can imagine. And that's not, in my opinion, just go out and do the damn thing. And then, as things occur, you resolve them, right? If any issues were to occur. Now, that all said, I also had seen a similar question, and BB, I don't know if it was from you, but even from just last week, as I was scrolling through the questions during the opening of this Hump Day Hangout today, I was looking at last week's questions, and I saw somebody say, well, what if Google catches on to RYS and syndication networks? What if Google catches on to and we've heard that over the years. Go to Google right now and search SEO Virginia. Tell me what you see as the #1 position. It's my Google site from a drive stack that I built that's not even a complete drive stack in May of 2015. Think about that, guys. That was 5 years ago. It's still ranked #1 for SEO Virginia, SEO Agency Virginia, Virginia SEO, number of keywords. It's an incomplete drive stack. And syndication networks we were just talking about, I've got syndication networks that are still valid from 2012 when I started building them. And so what if Google catches on to them? Well, that was 8 damn years ago, and they're still working today. And in fact, they're working better today than they ever were in a different light, because now they're an entity validator and solidifier. Before, they were just a method of link building. Okay. And RYS, same thing. What if Google catches on? There was another SEO guru out there that had a whole entire video about why he thought drive stacks were stupid and to not use them. Good. I like those kind of people, because then we're going to continue using them and we're going to continue benefiting from them while those dummies don't. You know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, there's other ways to do things too. I get that, guys. And I'm not knocking other methods. I'm just saying, for somebody to have such a closed mind and say, oh, well, I have determined, and Marco can comment on this, I have determined that this won't work. That's such small-minded thinking, in my opinion. And again, those are the kind of people that find that's great. Continue thinking that. We'll continue using them and benefiting from them. So to wrap it up, BB, don't worry about that. Use them, especially if you use them the way that we build them or the way that we teach you to build them. Unless somebody else is using our exact same methods, you don't have anything to worry about. And it's very unlikely that they're going to be using our exact same methods. And even if they are using our exact same methods, you coming here and engaging with us on a weekly basis will give you an edge, because we can tell you how to power up over and above whatever your competitors are doing, which is really just comes down to link building at that point. So Marco, I know you've got some things to say about this.
I'm going to go to August of 2015, end of August, when we released the original RYS Academy, and the guy, excuse me, with the, well, what if Google closes the loophole. Remember that?
Yeah.
What if Google closes the loophole? 2015. Now we had a ton of people buy in 2015. And a ton of people who didn't. One of those people who didn't is the guy who said, what if? Well, he's still wondering what if, because it's still working. But what if tomorrow? What if the fucking world ends tomorrow? Like, nothing is promised, right? All we have is right now and what we're doing right now. Man, if you're doing the do right now, then tomorrow doesn't make a difference, because tomorrow you can just do more of it. Okay, and so then you happen to be, excuse me, in a niche. And think of the possibilities of you being in a niche where there's another person that's using the exact same methods, the exact same way as you're doing it, as you've learned it, as you've approached it. That's nearly impossible, because once you, and then once you have it, I mean, it's just doing more of it. But in the unlikelihood that happens, think about it. Think about the possibility. Think about what we're talking about. What are the chances? Can this actually happen? Would this? Guys, I practice entity-based, worryless SEO. That includes my competition, because I don't care. Literally, I don't care who the competition. I even stopped doing competition analysis because it makes no difference anymore. Doesn't matter. Once I go after a niche, that niche is mine. Or once I'm working with someone to go after a niche, that niche is ours. It makes no difference. Competition. I don't care. When I come on, they better start worrying about me. Now they better be doing, what if Marco comes out after this niche? That's what you should be worried about. Other than that, dude, go do the do and do more of it, and then do more of it. Build your system, get that system in place so that you can systematize and it's repeatable. And then you just do it again and again and again and again and again. You just do more of it. So what if someone comes in, then you expand your stack. They expand it, you expand it more. They do link building, you do more. That's it.
That's it.
And as a matter of fact, it's competition is healthy because it keeps you on your toes, keeps you from slipping.
It is. And so I just pulled this up just to, I mean, again, just to, as an example, guys, it's pulling my map, and it might just be because that's, you know, it sees my IP and, you know, I'm local. But there's it is, number one. And it has been for 5 years. And for whatever reason, the map's not showing here. So I'll have to investigate that. That should be my GMB map. But my point is, guys, and look, it's an incomplete, this is a very poorly done G site that only, this is all of the RYS stack right here. That's the entire stack right there. You can see it. It's all embedded right here. And it's not anything like what we do now. And yet here it is, 5 years later, it's still number one, guys. And I've never done anything to this, period, other than that's it. Like, I mean, I built it and then built some links to it way back when, and that was it. I've never touched it since, and it's still number one today. So for those of you that say, you know, what if? That was 5 years ago, guys. And it's you know, you can what if yourself into taking an action is what I meant. And I mean that, guys, don't do that. So anyways.
And for BB, if it feels picked on, you are, but then again, you're not, man, you're getting game. You're getting shit for free that you shouldn't be getting. You're getting schooled into how to do the do that we do. And just, again, systems and more of it. That's it.
Yeah. And take the criticism constructively. You know what I mean? Like, we understand you're here to gain a better understanding and to be able to beat your competition. And so if we're a bit harsh, we mean it with all due respect, for real. That, and I mean that, guys. So anyways, BB, I'm not picking on you. I hope you understand that. He says, I saw the press release stacking video, still trying to figure it out. Should we be linking back to previous press release, even though the previous PR is on a different domain? It doesn't matter. What I suggest, though, is that you make sure that you're linking back to PRs that don't purge. There are a few of them through MGYB or Press Advantage. For example, the Press Advantage domain, obviously, the USA Today, Digital Journal, Street Insider, all of those rank really, really well anyways. So why not just use those as the ones that you link back to in a PR silo? If that makes sense. Okay. Brad says, how would you use a shield, specifically a drive stack, for national keywords? Build out every major city, or is there an easier way? No, I wouldn't do that for national. Marco, you're the one that can comment on this much better than me.
On the national in real estate, I did, or we did. that's targeting every state and every city, and it just has some good shit baked in there. But that's not necessary. Think brand plus keyword association at the national level. That's it. Brand gets associated with the keywords. What you're trying to do is you're trying to become Google in your space. You're trying to become the entity. So when people think, if I say Jello, you know exactly what I'm talking about generally. Now gelatin is what it actually is. If I say Band-Aid, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's the keyword for it, adhesive bandage. And I could go on and on. Guys, zipper was originally trademarked. It was windbreaker was originally trademarked, but it became the word for that niche. That's what we're trying to do. Now, I've said this plenty of times before. Most of us are not going to get there. If you do, then just think of the money that's in there when you become the keyword for the niche. But in the meantime, what you're doing is you're creating that brand plus keyword association so that the bot understands that your entity should be the one that's considered for that keyword set, the best match, right? For anything under that keyword set. And imagine the kind of traffic, the kind of money that you're going to produce when you get there. Right? So we're not talking about being the keyword for the brand, but where people, let me clarify that, where people consider it the word for the niche, but where the bot understands that it's the keyword for the niche, that your brand is the same as the keyword for the niche. When you force the bot into that association, then man, look, you write your own check, relax. It's a done deal. Just watch the bank account grow, because guys. I mean, I can tell you. I'm not gonna show you. I'm not gonna go open my Stripe, and I'm not gonna open my account, but I wish I could show you just what's going on. I'm not the kind of person to do that. I'm not the kind of person to show the checks, the kind of stuff that comes through my accounts. But you have to see it. Like when you hit that sweet spot for that client, and the calls start coming in. And for an example, DC Plumber, where the plumber had to take a phone off the hook because he was getting too many calls. Seriously, think about it. You're getting too many damn calls when you take a phone off the hook. The personal injury attorney in New York City who had to hire multiple people to answer phones. That's the kind of traffic. And I'll be totally transparent. It has slowed down, but not to the point where she's had to really close up shop. I mean, New York is complicated right now, right? But it's just she's getting contacts, so she's still going through it, and she's continuing to pay. We've made an arrangement, of course, and then what I explained to her is listen, when this is all over, as soon as people are allowed just back out on the street willy-nilly, think of the accidents that are going to happen. I know maybe it's morbid, but it's true. People are going to be just crazy about getting out. They're not going to be careful. We're going to have a ton of accidents happening, and it's a ton of people that are going to call her. So she's going to make all the money back. So let's relax and let's go. And you pay me again, and it's going to be more than what it was. So these are all the kinds of things that can happen when they know that you're this person who can produce these kinds of results, and they understand that if they let you go, you're going to the competition to offer your services. So think about all that when you're approaching this. National keywords are there for you. You don't have to approach it every major city, because something like real estate is kind of location based, even on a national level. But maybe what you're doing isn't location based, it's totally keyword based. So it depends on how people are searching for that niche. So I hope that made sense. If not, go watch the videos, contribute to my charity, and you're gonna get access to the charity videos where we talked about all these different things, all the different scenarios. We made scripts available. I mean, it's incredible the amount of information that's in there. So think about that. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, and because we got time, because we only had 2 more questions as of right now, we'll come back to those in a minute. But I want to point out, because you were asking about, well, there was 2 questions in the past few minutes. One was RYS again. Well, is that what if they catch on? Number 2 was how would you approach it nationally? And so Marco's been sharing, even in the free Facebook group, in the last in this week alone, he's shared about the Land Solutions Network, which is his national land buying site that him and Rob have been working on. Well, I'm just focusing on Virginia, my real estate business, my land buying business. And in both instances, both cases, the Land Solutions Network, they used a mass page builder, but basically they just solidified the entity and built a drive stack. That's it. I mean, other than a couple of press releases for and it's ranking nationally for, and in many different states and such for his primary keyword, sell land fast. Well, I've only targeted Virginia, but same thing is if I were to do sell land fast Virginia, this is what Marco was talking about, is you see how it pulls my knowledge panel for that keyword, right? Does that make sense? So the brand has been associated with that keyword. I'm targeting only Virginia, but you can see that it's pulled. This is a full-on brand association with my keyword for it to bring that up here. Does that make sense? And you can also see in that search field now with sell land fast, right there is Alpha Land Realty. I didn't even type in Alpha Land or start to type in the name, the brand name, and it's popping my brand name into a keyword search suggest. Does that make sense? So think about that. I have just through, and guys, I swear to God, this is my word. Only thing I've done to this, it's a single page. I'll show it to you. It's a single page ClickFunnels page. This is just a landing page, guys. That's it. There's no content marketing going on here. There's no silo structure here. It's a single page landing page with ClickFunnels, which you can't even optimize the SEO elements of a ClickFunnels page. I do have structured data embedded in this, but that's it. And then I've solidified the entity with a Google, an RYS stack, a syndication, an SEO power shield. The same thing that we teach you guys. That's what I did with this. And I've done nothing else but one link building gig from MGYB to the drive stack and the syndication network last summer. So almost a year ago when I first, I created this business a year ago. So probably about 9 months ago, I did a link building gig, one link building gig to the drive stack and the SEO power shield basically. And I've done, and I've just driven traffic to it through direct mail. And now obviously organic traffic, it's getting on its own, as well as I run ads for lead generation, Google ads. And that's it. So I've done the SEO power shield, one link building gig, and then I've driven relevant traffic to it, which is exactly what we teach with our Google branding, Google Ads branding course, or our YouTube local traffic course. It's about how to drive relevant traffic into your entity to get the push and to create that brand and keyword association, which I've proven right here beyond a shadow of a doubt. And that's it, guys. I've done nothing else. I have published some press releases primarily for properties that I'm selling, but that's a different domain. It's the same entity, but it's a different domain because I use alphalandrealty.sale as my selling site. So anyways, my point is I just want to point out how, exactly what Mark was talking about is using a drive stack to create that association. It didn't happen overnight, but I didn't even have to keep pushing links into this for it to work. It just took time and actually relevant traffic, which will bring me to the next question here in a minute about somebody saying, are links still relevant? They are, but this case right here, and they always, I'm not going to never say always either, right? I'm going to say they're always going to remain relevant. But this particular project here that I'm showing as an example proves that it doesn't necessarily take links, just sending relevant traffic and then having that traffic convert on the page, which means, complete a conversion goal. In this case, submitting the the property assessment worksheet that can acts as that's a conversion, and that's a huge signal for SEO. And that's caused the brand association with my primary keyword. And it wasn't link based, really. It was mainly entity based, exactly what we've been teaching, and relevant traffic, activity, relevance, trust, and authority. So those two things alone have caused me to be the #1 position, not just for that keyword, but for others as well that I wasn't even really pushing on. Take a look. Oh, in fact, it didn't pop my knowledge panel here, but it still puts me as #1. Does that make sense? So I just want to point out how really powerful this stuff is, guys. We're practicing what we preach here. You want to comment on that, Marco?
Sorry, it's raining right now and it's kind of loud.
By the way, it didn't pop a knowledge panel for We Buy Land Virginia, but look at that, guys. See that? That's keyword association, and it's pulling that's a keyword search. and it's brought my brand into suggest. That's pretty powerful. For the first several months, as soon as I would start to type in alpha land, it would pop up. So, but it wasn't coming with a generic keyword, but you can see it's definitely coming up now. And then if you take a look at my Google site, guys, my drive stack, I have not done any theme mirroring at all because there's no theme to mirror. Like, in other words, I don't have I've got a single page landing page as my website. So there's no silo structure, nothing else. So the drive stack is a flat drive stack. In other words, there's no structure, there's no silo structure to it. And that's all I've ever done, guys. And you can see it's just ranking incredibly well. And I've been able to get that brand association with that keyword by just doing exactly what we teach. I'm sorry, Marco, go ahead.
No. I mean, just totally. It just reaffirms what we teach over and over and over again, despite the people who say it doesn't work. But yeah. I mean, seriously, we show it on video. Who are you gonna believe? Like the experts, the ninjas, the gurus, the professionals, or your lying eyes? It's up to you.
Yeah. So that's the next question is, do you think links are getting less important? If so, what would you recommend placing them? They are, they're still important. There's no question. Like I said, never say never, never say always, but I'm going to say, I think links will always have its place. Google's entire algorithm is built on, the backbone of it, the underlying foundation is about links. So I'm not going to say that it will never change, but it's likely that it won't anytime soon. So that said, but are links becoming less important? Yeah, they are to a degree, because again, as I just proved, activity, relevance, trust, and authority. So activity is very, very important. Those types of engagement signals can trigger what only links used to be able to do. Does that make sense? And we, again, like YouTube videos, you can rank YouTube videos on engagement alone with 0 SEO signals. And when you have a lot of engagement, it's going to naturally accrue links and stuff anyways, right? It's just because people will link to it and things like that. But what I'm saying is, without any proactive, intentional SEO link building work being done to YouTube videos, you can rank them all day long with purely on engagement signals. And we're starting to see that more and more with web assets and entities, as long as the proper engagement signals are triggered, such as visitation, dwell time, scroll depth, clicking through to different links. So navigating through the site. Conversion goals are incredibly powerful, because that's showing that you satisfied the searcher's query, because they clicked through to the site and then they converted, which is another, especially if you've got analytics on your site, or if it's submitted to any sort of Google code on the site, will recognize that a conversion has occurred, if that makes sense. So I like to have Google Ads remarketing tag and conversion tag on every site that I set up specifically for that, even if I'm not running Google Ads, which I run Google Ads for everything now, not necessarily search ads, but remarketing and display and YouTube. But what I'm saying is, I always set up a conversion goal, or conversion tracking in Google Ads, so that Google is always aware of every time somebody submits an opt-in form or makes a phone call or clicks the tap to call button on my sites. Does that make sense? And all of those things act as SEO signals that make links less important, although I think they're an underlying foundation that's not going to go away.
Okay, so links and art. The only way that art can be measured is through links. The only way that Google can track anything from one place to the other, and then from there to the other places, so that they can see exactly what's going on with that entity, is links. There's no other way. It's not magic. I mean, this isn't Lucky Charms. It's not magically delicious. Google doesn't disappear out of smoke somewhere and say, oh, look what I found. Look at all this activity, relevance, trust, and authority. That doesn't happen. Links are not only foundational, I mean, it's the essence of what the fuck Google is doing. AI doesn't magically appear. It has to go wherever it is, and it has to, it looks at all of these different things, but it's done through links. As long as that happens, and until Google can teleport, which is why they want quantum. It's been their whole idea since the beginning to get rid of search, to do away with search, because they can make so much money. Now in quantum, you can teleport from one site to another without actually going through a link. But and until that happens, and we're really far from being from going from that theory to it actually happening, and then having it be applied to search, to do away with search. Right now, everything that we do, everything that happens, as far as Google, as far as anything else, as far as I know, is links. Why? Because that's everything. The whole root of everything is links. Page rank and ranking score. That's what we're building. I mean, that's why when you hammer things with links, especially through do follow links, it works so well and it pushes things so well. That's why stacking works so well. That's why it's, stacking iframes works so well. That's why pushing link building through map embeds, through everything, that's why it works so well. That's why when data takes something on, once you have the foundation, you got art going in there, you got all of these different things, you've done your entity right, you got your on page right. When you hit that with link building, that's when the magic really happens. And if they were not important, or if they were just an underlying factor, we would not get the results that we get. I mean, this shit, and as a matter of fact, I'm about to do a link building test where I'm going to show just how important link building is. But again, we go back to, they have to be the right kind of links. They have to be relevant. They have to have activity, relevance, trust, and authority. Google will measure the destination. It'll measure the link origin and everything that's linking to the link origin and the link destination in order to see everything that's related to that entity. But the only way that it can do it right now, and the only way that it does it, is it has to get that through links, and it's measuring, it's building up your page rank, it's building up your ranking score, and then it gets weighted, right? And then it gets compared to all of the other entities in that niche to see which one answers the query the best. But a whole bunch of other things happen before that actually happens, right? And then, as you said, what cinches it all is when you do all of these things and you have people come and take action on your website and they actually finish whatever it is that they started. I mean, that's what closes the loop for everything, because then Google sees people trusting whatever it is that you're doing by giving you information, by making a call, or by giving you money.
Satisfying their query.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's exact. Because guys, and I've talked about this before, way back years ago. I think it was 2014 when we talked about CT spam, click-through spam, and how effective that was. And you know, completing the conversion goal is incredibly important because it proves. I remember I watched, I think it was a TED talk, but it was Larry Page, right, which was one of the founders of Google, and he was talking about how, and this was I think in 2010 when I saw this. So way back when I first got started, and Google was kind of, you know, it wasn't even the big kid on the block at the time. It was becoming it, but it wasn't yet. Well, it might have been in 2010, but it was still, anyways, my point is I saw an early, I think it was a TED talk, but it was talking on stage about what their kind of vision for Google was going to be. And he said it was very simple: to end search. And at the time, it didn't make any sense to me, but it does now, and it has for many years. But essentially what he was saying was that what they wanted to do with Google was that when somebody would put a search in, that their query would be answered in that first page, like that first top 10 results, the solution to their problem would be found right there. And that's to end search. But so that's the whole point. Like if you understand that and you're able to satisfy that searcher's query and prove that to Google, which means allowing them to peek into your site basically and see it happen, then you're providing them the exact same signals that they've aspired to have. You know, that's really what they wanted to begin with. So to answer or to follow up with what Marco said, I agree. Like, you know, links are the foundation of everything. Is what I said. But you said, what would you recommend in place of them? Well, I wouldn't recommend this in place, but on top of, which would be, like I said, running relevant traffic in, which you can buy very inexpensively from YouTube, although that's more about views than clicks, but the clicks are highly weighted when they come from YouTube videos, from ads especially. But display ads and remarketing are very, very inexpensive traffic. Remarketing is less expensive than cold traffic display ads. So that's number one. But number two, again, make sure that you have some sort of conversion action on your site. That's going to trigger that. And like Marco said, kind of solidify it. It kind of underpins that. It completes the loop, closes the loop. And there's a number of ways you can do it. If you're running ads, I would set up conversion tracking in Google Ads, but you don't have to. Even if you're not running Google Ads, you can do it with Google Analytics, right? You can put analytics on the site and set up a conversion goal there. And again, it's just to trigger, to notify Google that the visitor that's come from Google or from anywhere else for that matter is converting, which means you're satisfying their queries. You're providing value. It's very, very powerful. So it's a great question, by the way. Aaron says, is MGYB continuing to set up verified GMBs? No, not right now. Specifically for why you said that, or for what you stated here. Google has stopped displaying reviews. Making changes in GMB could trigger suspension or re-verification. So we've had to suspend that service again. So for now, no, we're not verifying GMBs, and we're not recovering suspended GMBs either. Okay. Maybe once all this stuff settles down, it'll come back. But for now, no. Last one is BB. He says, hey guys, tuned in late. 10x or 10 times, I guess, mix of what effing and understanding and hypothetically speaking stuff. Yeah, and that's what I was saying, man. Hopefully you understand. I wasn't trying to be malicious. It's for everybody else's benefit too. Too many times in any business or any endeavor in life, you hear people that are what if. And I've seen it too many times, people not take action because they think that they have to understand every solution to every possible scenario before they take the first step. And that's just not, that's not even reasonable, right? It's good that you ask those questions, BB, as far as like, well, what if somebody, Google recognizes ROIS and stuff, because it gives us an opportunity to show the staying power of what we've been teaching. But we don't work for Google, and we don't know. Tomorrow it could all come to a crashing halt, a fiery death, but we don't know that. And it's been working for many, many years. And as long as it is still working, we're going to continue to exploit it. You know what I mean? So comments on that? Anybody?
Yeah, damn right. Damn right. Do until you can't do no more. But then by then we will have figured out another way to do the do. That's it.
It's the cat and mouse game that we play. You know what I mean?
That's it, man. And we learned it. I mean, we've seen it. I've seen it all. 2000, end of 2003, beginning 2004. I've seen it all. And it's just a matter of keeping up. Okay, this is what Google's doing. This is where Google's going. I'm going to go there. I'm not going to wait here and do changes while Google is making changes. I'm off to the races because I can see what Google's doing. And then when they get to whatever it is that they're doing, we're off to the races again. And to meet them at the next spot and at the next one. And, that's just that. Anyone who isn't doing it, anyone who isn't trying to play the game that way, then what you're doing is you're playing a catch-up game. Instead of playing, I'm going to wait for Google at the pass game, and I'm going to shoot them from high up where I can just pick them off.
So playing defense as opposed to offense is what you're saying.
Right. What do you want to do with me? I love to attack. I'm going to go and I'm going to just figure out how to get into everything so that I can get the best results possible. I could care less about, that hat colors or whatever. I don't even think about that. I just go and get results, period.
So last question, and this is perfect timing. So we're about to wrap up anyways. He says, if there's time, push notifications or email subs. Okay. I'm going to tell you what my preference is, but I have no data to back it up. So I'm going to make that disclaimer right now. I prefer email subs over push notifications any day of the week. Why? Because I hate push notifications personally. I turn them off. I decline any sort of browser notification. When it asks me if I want browser notifications, I turn off my phone push notifications. I hate it. I hate push notifications. And but I'm also in my 40s. So the younger generation may very well prefer push notifications over email. So I have no data to back that up. I just would rather have an email list than a push notification list. Well, for the type of markets that I, compete in. But if I was dealing with a younger crowd and there's data to show that push notifications are more effective, then I would absolutely use those. But personally, I hate push notifications. And for the industries that I work in with mainly contracting type stuff, email subs, in my opinion, are much more valuable.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Hernan?
Yeah, I agree with that. In fact, that we could say that a lot of the revenue that we generate in our various industries are based off of email. We haven't tried with push a lot. I know that on some specific affiliate niches, push notifications work really, really well. Maybe you can get both, but honestly, we try with push, we try with ManyChat, we try with a bunch of different stuff, and we always come back to email because it's so, it's just proven, tested, and it's still the highest ROI marketing strategy that you can deploy for your business.
And I think a second close to that, Hernan, and correct me if I'm wrong, would be remarketing right now, building a remarketing list.
Yeah, 100%. Yep.
Remarketing, in my opinion, guys, is better than, well, I'm not going to say better than email, but it's a very close second because you don't have to get anybody to opt in, right? All somebody has to do is visit a page where your remarketing tag is to get put on a remarketing list. So it's non-confrontational, non-obtrusive. In other words, like you don't have to get them to complete a conversion goal to get put on a remarketing list. That's why I think remarketing is so powerful. Anybody else before we wrap it up? It's 5 o'clock.
Cool.
Sweet.
No, good. No, perfect timing.
Thanks everybody for being here. We'll see you guys
Bye, everyone.
next week.
See you guys.
Zone.